there is lots of challenges, and I think that's the beautiful bit about it too. Like in those challenging moments, it feels like this is too hard and I want to quit. But it's in retrospect of those challenging moments, they're the bits you grow from. And I think that's what I've really noticed. I have grown so much as being a teacher. So it's like the tricky bits, the challenging bits are actually the growthful bits at the same time. And I don't like to admit that in those challenging moments that there's growth potential, but in retrospect, there's growth if you're willing to reflect on it. So in terms of what are the challenging bits of the career of teaching, it's a constant learning and a constant challenge it's almost like because you're always learning, you never feel like you're succeeding. So it is an interesting place to sit yourself in terms of if you want to. I mean, I've been teaching for 18 years, but I still wouldn't rest into that I know what I'm doing. I know enough of what I'm doing, but I think that's also a gift in terms of not pretending that you know it all. And a wise mentor once said to me, Andrew, the day you work out exactly what you need to do is the day you need to quit. And I thought, yeah, I really hear that one. And she said to me that like a decade ago, and I see it even more now, like that thing about when people think they've got it all sorted out, it is probably time to go. Because it's that vitality too that you've got to bring.
New.
You do, absolutely. Yep, the challenge is like challenging behavior in the classroom is a really interesting one, and challenging parent interaction. So I'd say they're the two difficult ones. And I think the behavior has changed over time, and the way that you deal with it has changed over time. And in some ways, that's really positive that the way that we're meeting children, we are changing our teaching techniques, which I think we need to do. Like education is based on an industrial model of making good factory workers. I mean, Steiner himself, it was a cigarette factory. So times need to change for education, but with change, it's a challenge. And so how do we make it still meaningful and it still needs meaningful work and it still needs to serve a purpose. But I think we need to change the purpose of what we're doing this for. Because it's not just Waldorf schools, but mainstream schools. Wellbeing is becoming the new number one. Yes. And Steiner talks about wellbeing 100 years ago, but it's like that wasn't really spoken about much in my teaching degree. 18 years ago, it was teach kids to read and write. That was the most important bit. And I think that social literacy is so important. And I think that is the key about producing young people that can survive in the world. So that question of how do you work with it, I think the biggest bit for me is actually listening. My big lesson has been the more I listen, the more I assist. And I think early on, I just wanted to solve the problems. But when I watch, the most profound change has come from listen first. And I love this phrase of someone said to me a couple of months ago, does the person that's coming to you want to be heard, helped, or hugged? And I just think it's such a beautiful picture, because 90% of the time it's just hearing. And so having said that, I also had a parent when I was working in Melbourne that said to me, Andrew, stop listening to me and start doing something. And I was like, wow. Right. You're over being listened to, you want action now. So I also recognize it's all very well to listen, but you've got to take action too. So It is a balance. However, I think that thing is the teachers that I really admire are the ones that are able to listen first and then respond. The ones that talk lots don't have the same, or that the action or the results or the outcomes are not, I don't believe, are as powerful. Because when you're dealing with a student and a student feels heard, then you can move forward. When you're dealing with a parent and the parent feels heard, there's a trust. And if you have a parent's trust, you also more than likely will have the child's trust at the same time, and trust comes through that relationship. And it's time. And I think that's the bit that's wonderful about Steiner education is we build a relationship over 5 years. And so that's where it makes a difference, because you can rest into the relationship.